Hello, my name's Dylan. I'm the owner of Brunswick Darkroom, and today I'm going to take you behind this door and create a contact sheet and make enlargements from black and white negatives. So the first step is making sure that we've got our chemicals mixed and ready to go. So I know that today we need to make more developer and stop solution. So in the photographic development process, there's 3 steps. First, you develop your photograph, then you stop development, and then you fix it to make it permanent. So developer acts on all the silver halide which is being exposed to light. So the stop bath stops development by changing the pH. The fixer makes the image permanent by removing any silver halide which hasn't been exposed to light. So if you think of photographs, you usually think of something on your phone or your computer or even your DSLR if you're a legitimate photographer. But those photographs might not exist in physical space. So here we have an archive of all the images I've ever taken, and it's organized by date. And so not only are those images the one-of-one physical record of what happened on that day, they're the starting point for everything we do in the darkroom. And when we take these into the darkroom, you get to spend time with your memories in a way that isn't possible with any other medium. I recently became a father, and I documented the whole first week of my baby's life. So what we'll be doing today is taking these images, which are negatives, printing them onto a piece of paper at a 1-to-1 ratio. So we're not enlarging anything yet. We're just seeing what these negatives look like as positives on paper. And then once we select one that we like, we can put that single negative into an enlarger and make a photo with it. So unlike when we're taking a photograph outdoors on our camera, we don't have a light meter here which tells us our exposure. So we work out our exposure through trial and error. And the way we do that, the practical way we do that, is called making a test print. And to make a test print, you make multiple exposures on one piece of paper. So each time I uncover the negatives, I'm exposing for another 2 seconds. So one area has been exposed for 12 seconds, and at the other end, we have something that's only been exposed for 2 seconds. So we have our exposed paper now, and we're going to put it in the developer and watch it come to life. We're going to develop it for 1 minute, and every 15 seconds we can agitate. Now you can start to see an image appear. I like to look at that clock, so I put it in at the 6. I'm going to take it out at the 6. Consistency is key here, because I want the only variable that changes to be the exposure time, not anything I do in development. So I usually fix for 1 minute, but if it's just a test print, we don't have to fix for that long. We can take it out earlier and see how it looks. Since we're already in the darkroom and we're the only ones using it, which is rare, I'll switch on the white light so we can check out the print in here. I think we've got something here. So on the left side, this is a 2-second exposure. And then we go to a 4, a 6, an 8, a 10, and a 12. And we just want to look at all these images and see at what point does the density of the image start to make sense for my liking. So we might make a full exposure at 10 seconds now. And what you'll see is every image here should be reasonably exposed. Spending time with your memories. It's a really good way to slow down and really consider things that have happened. Like this particular role is documenting a really important week in my life. And, you know, there might be things that you forget if you don't take photographs, but taking the photographs in an analog way forces you to spend time with those memories and to recreate them on paper. For the first time, I'm able to see all the images a lot more clearly than if I'm looking at the negatives, which can be a little bit abstract. And I'm slowly just seeing everything and deciding what I'd like to make. So we've decided what image we'd like to print, and now it's a matter of going from our contact sheet into our negatives again and pulling out the strip. So this is like the DNA, and all the prints you make from it is like the RNA. You can make 1 million prints, but you'll only ever have one original negative. And the prints take time to make, so you don't want to mess it up. So this is the easel. This is where we're gonna put our photographic paper when we make our print. And right now I'm just setting the borders of the easel so that we have equal sides. I'm gonna turn the enlarger on, which is going to project my image onto our workspace. And what I'm doing now is called framing the image. The next part is gonna be getting it in fine focus. So I'll use a focus finder. And I'll look through the focus finder and go in and out of focus several times. And once I've done that enough, I can just leave it there where the image is sharpest. And then just like we did a test print before, we're gonna do a test print again. 2 seconds, there's almost nothing. 4, we're getting a bit of exposure, but it's very light. 6 is nice because we still have some highlights, which are very bright. By 8 seconds, the midpoint is probably shifted a bit darker than I'd like. And by 10, 12, and 14 seconds, the whole image is getting quite dark. Probably choose something between 6 seconds and 8 seconds. I might split the difference and go with 7 seconds. So every time you develop a print, and you might develop tens, or if you're really dedicated on getting it right, you might develop hundreds. Every time you develop a print, you have to sit here for a minute or more and just sort of look at it. Yeah, you kind of sit with the memory and have time to internalize things. It might be a bit on the light side. I think it's not as dark as I anticipated, but that's all right. We often have little mistakes every time we print, but we can just keep printing. The only thing it takes from us is time and paper. Sometimes we don't have a lot of time or the paper costs too much, so we have to stop printing. And I find you never really reach perfection in your prints. You only reach a point where you can't keep going anymore. And at that point, you have a finished print. So if you end up with a print that's too light like this, there's 2 things you can do. The most obvious one is to increase your exposure time, but one which might actually be a better alternative is to selectively increase the depth of your shadows and not actually touch your highlights. Practically what that looks like is this is a 7-second exposure, and I would get a new piece of paper and make that 7-second exposure. But then on that same piece of paper, I'm then gonna change the contrast filter to a 5, and I'll make a 2nd exposure to selectively increase the depth of the blacks. So we're going from a 3 to a 5. The stronger rays of light punch through that red filter and end up exposing the image. The shadows are exposing before the highlights. What we'll be hoping for is little to no increase in the density of our highlights, but a strong punch in the density of our shadows. What I'm gonna do now is a 6-second exposure on the grade 5 contrast filter, and then change it back to where we were for the first exposure, and now make the base exposure, which was for 7 seconds. All right. Hopefully we have something that looks good. Thanks for coming along with me today. So to wrap up, what we did was first we made a contact sheet from our negatives in order to see them as positives. We then made a test print of the image we chose and a full print at the exposure which we liked most on our test print. After making this, we decided it wasn't quite dark enough, so we changed our contrast filter, did a test print on that contrast, and decided that around 6 seconds, it was adding some more depth to the shadows, but it wasn't influencing the highlights much. So we then made another print where we added this exposure and 6 seconds on a higher contrast, and finished with this, which is a well-exposed image of my baby girl, which I'm pretty happy with. So thanks for coming along, and see you in the dark room.